I've spent almost 10 years on a documentary all about the forever chemical problem, interviewing so many different incredible and brilliant people. I decided to make this series to include highlights from each of those interviews, giving their stories more life than just a few moments in a film.
It really was a New York Times magazine article, and it was funny. I had probably 5 people send me that article. I was really interested in the story, and Rob, and how long he'd been working in obscurity. And I felt immediately this is a movie. This is the perfect package for telling the story with the perfect amount of credibility. There's this invisible killer, and it's been let loose, and we have no agency over it. As Americans, we really like to pride ourselves in this idea of, the rugged individual, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, personal accountability, all these things, your choices, consequences, and these are all really, prosaic, romantical notions about ourselves. But when you're being poisoned secretly, how much agency what is choice at that point? But the story, the way the corporation was acting, the way the EPA was acting, the way politicians were acting, the way the community was acting, it was universal in some sense to me. And so it was a story about PFAS, but it was also a story about American business, Citizens United, captured agencies, captured federal agencies, captured state agencies. It was very similar to what I'd known about the fracking industry and the oil and gas industry. And so it made me angry and it made me excited, because as a storyteller, I knew that it had all the elements that it needed already. You wouldn't have to nudge it or push it too much or fabricate anything to make it an interesting, compelling story in a 2-hour film. What's amazing about Rob is that he knew how the other side plays the game. So he could be effective in a way that nobody else can, and he began to approach us in revolutionary and novel ways. Coming from a corporate, defense attorney world, where he would be normally tasked with defending a DuPont or these companies, is now in the position because of a childhood experience that he had. This boy in nature playing in the creeks, and I know what that is for me. I know how profound and impactful those experiences were to me. So I know what it meant to him. And I know what the idea of home meant to him, that place, his grandmother's home, where he went every summer, the one constant in his life, And this woman who loved him, where he was safe, where he was seen and he was, appreciated. That's the human part that we all love and relate to. Talking about chemistry, talking about law, talking about politics, these things, most people tune out. But when we get into these human stories, that's a universality. That's why we all laugh at the same things, because we all understand that the nature of that thing. And that's where I've tried to take my activism now, because, you get on Capitol Hill and you're already, the game is set, There's nothing that I could possibly say in my testimony that will actually change the hearts and minds of those people. But if they saw the movie, they saw Wilbur Tennant, You know, they saw the Farrens, they saw Rob, they saw his struggle. Then we have a chance. And it's like that across the board. I've been doing this a long time. I know what a movie looks like that's trying to make money. And I know what a movie looks like that's trying to inform people. And there's a big difference between the two. There's always some path to redemption and some path to greater community, greater understanding, and greater kind of care. These things lead to a kind of enlightenment because we're forced to have to deal with them. And we're forced to have to ask, how did we get here? How is this possible? We have everything we need to live in a healthy world. All it would take from us is to see ourselves as part of the whole